Today, every radio host in America is going to do the corny, cliche, but annual anniversary of Bobby Bonilla Day and still being paid.
What do you get, $1.5 million? What's he get every year, something like that?
Is that today?
Yeah, it is
July
today.
1st.
I thought it was
yeah.
the second. It's the first.
It's July 1st. He is going to make $200,000 more this year from the Mets than Brock Purdy will of the Niners, which is insane.
Pretty sure Griffey's still getting paid from the Reds, too. There's a long list of people that get some deferred money.
There is.
But this one's always the one where everybody in America mentions it. I don't think today here in Portland it's Bobby Bonilla Day. Today.
What day is it?
It's happy Andrew Nicholson no longer on our cap sheet.
Hey, we did it, guys.
We got off it.
We did it.
No longer we think. It's
Yes,
over.
yes.
It's over. Hey, good job, Neil.
How long were we paying that guy for? How many years was that?
Here's the situation.
He has been out of the NBA for 7 years.
Nice. Good move, Neil.
That's stretch provisional, man.
Good move. Was that
Amnesty
like
clauses, baby.
$2 million on our cap basically every year for like a decade? That
2.8.
Yeah, that was nice. That was well played.
We got some audio from Jody. Not at a press conference.
No.
One of those videos again.
We're all so happy. We love working together. We're all going to do this forever. It's like,
It's our anniversary. It's every draft day.
Every
we get
draft
a Jody
day.
in a video day.
look at me. I'm smiling here. I don't want to hire this coach for another year. I'm going to fire him in 6 months.
I
Yay.
think technically it'd be a firing. I think it'd be a parting of ways.
You don't think they're going to turf him halfway through the year next
No.
year when they're 7-49? Let's go ahead and move on.
We'll get to the clinger coming up here. Jerami Grant is a Laker. Do the Lakers have stuff you want?
Dalton Connect is interesting. We talked a lot about drafting him. They just took him
Why would they give us Dalton Connect after getting him at 17?
because they want Jerami Grant and they care about winning now more than they do about a young guy.
Yeah, that's the thing about him. He's not young. He fell in the draft.
Oh,
because
sure, he's
not
23.
young.
I mean, he's younger than Jerami Grant. He's
Yes.
23, 30, right? So there's a slight difference there.
What
but,
about Rui Hachimura?
by the way, this is a great question on the text line.
What is it?
Worst case of nepotism, Bronny or Jody Allen? She owns an NBA team because of who her brother was.
Now that's a rant Schultz should definitely go on.
I mean,
That rant, I am 100% in your corner. This is outrageous! Outside of that, there's not a lot there in LA that I'm very intrigued with. You know far more about the roster than I do, but looking through some of the potential scenarios of who could go.
You could bring it up and know just as much as me.
Well, I know, but some of these guys are like, well, look, he actually in the month of May was averaging,
yeah.
like there's some of that crap that I just don't know.
Well, Rui would be the best player I think you'd get from it.
Rui's a good little player.
I'll be pleasantly surprised. I do not believe Lakers are throwing Dalton Connect in that trade.
No, and if that's the case, there's not a lot that they have that intrigues me, and I would be sniffing around who the hell else wants Jerami Grant. Maybe who we know Philly got Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Klay Thompson go?
Dallas.
And then if that's Dallas,
Smells
then
like Dallas.
who else wants a wing, and how do we have a bidding war there? I just, for the love of God, do not have this. You have two assets left that you can part with that you could get something really good in return. Jerami Grant and Anthony Simons. Not
What about
like
DA?
Not 5 first-round picks. I just don't know what the appetite is for him in the market. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think there's a stereotype about him that some of it is true about his work ethic and his care level. And the season didn't get off to a great start, and he showed up right when the season was over and started dominating games when they didn't matter anymore. Don't trade him just to a place where he says, I want to go there, and you say, okay, we'll take whatever we can get, whatever scrap heap we can get from the Lakers, we'll take. Make sure that's an open bidding war because Jerami Grant's a very good player. We know that, and he could maybe be the missing link for another team in the NBA.
I've really struggled personally. I don't know how to gauge the value of Jerami Grant. I know it's very easy to jump on Blazer Twitter and demand 5 first-round picks and a really good player. But if he is indeed traded to the Lakers, and that's kind of right now what the rumor mill is saying is the Lakers are like torn internally. Anthony Irwin, who covers the Lakers, said they're not sure if they want to give 2 first-round picks to the Blazers. I mean, I don't know how far out they'd be, but future Laker picks could be interesting. Although the Lakers are the Lakers, and as bad as their run, they always somehow end up getting a star player that kind of makes them good. Though before LeBron, they were pretty irrelevant.
They're going to build around Bronny in 2 years. We all know it.
But I would imagine like a Rui Hachimura's got to be a part of that deal because I
would assume.
Money-wise, you need it to work for Jerami, so you could maybe throw Gabe in there, Gabe Vincent, which that's not really doing a whole lot for you. That's just you're taking on money.
That could be a flip piece, too. Where do we send him? Does somebody need another guard?
I like Jerami Grant. I'd actually be just as excited to have Rui. I've always been a big Rui guy. Maybe it's a stupid thing to be in on, but Rui Hachimura in a Blazer uniform I'd be happy about.
I'm actually really excited right now, Bob. I'm really excited.
What are you happy about?
The Jody Allen thing I will never be satisfied or happy about, and she needs to sell the team, and I will never back down from that take because it's the correct take.
Okay.
I'm excited about some of the rumblings. Now, there's still I want to see it to believe it kind of thing because I love rumblings, but now it actually needs to happen. My whole gripe for the last year has been, if you're going to tank and rebuild. What are we doing? Why is Malcolm Brogdon on this roster? Why is Robert Williams on this roster? Jerami Grant does not make sense with your timeline. Blazer fans whining on Twitter about him getting traded. I'm so sad. Shut up. You won 21 games last year. You're not going anywhere. This is the time to fully reset. And so the idea of them moving on from him this offseason and potentially Anthony Simons, I'm over the moon about both of those trades.
Really?
I want a backcourt of Scoot and Shaden.
Yeah.
You use back-to-back top 10 picks, see what you got, build around him.
You're ready to just dive.
Yes, this is what you need to do. You need to win the fewest games in the NBA next season. Do you not? Does Jerami Grant make you a better team? He's a decent player. He might win you 2 or 3 more games than you would have won if he wasn't on your roster. You're tanking right now. You need to tank properly. Next year, you want it, whatever. This year's fine. This year's draft class sucked. You ended up with the player that you thought was the best with the 7th overall pick. Whatever. That's fine. That's not the case with next year's draft class. You slipping to 7 next year because you had the 5th worst record in the NBA would be an absolute failure of a season. You need to win bottom 3 totals, win totals in the NBA next year to have a crack at the number 1 overall pick or number 2 overall pick.
Well, the best chance at the number 1.
The best chance, the best chance. And so I am all for these moves. I think they make sense in the short term and the long term. Jerami Grant does not fit the timeline. The whole reason you re-signed him was to have an asset that you could part with, and I would love the idea of trading him. If I threw 3 guys at you, power rank them for me.
Okay.
Of players that you would want on your team.
I would want on my team?
You would want on your team. You're Sprague's a GM. You're a GM in the NBA.
It's dangerous. We might lose a lot of games.
OG Anunoby.
Okay.
Mikal Bridges.
All right.
Jerami Grant.
Do contracts matter?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's OG.
Mikal Bridges, and Jerami Grant.
I'd go Mikal. Are they my stars or my second piece? Or are they a third?
Second or third piece.
Mikal, OG, and Jerami.
Okay.
Would probably be my ranking.
So
but I'd be nervous
last.
about OG's injury history.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
So Mikal just went for 5 first-round picks, 4 first-round picks?
Total and a swap and a second, I want to say. So I think it was 6 total, 4 unprotected from the Knicks and a Bucks first.
And OG Anunoby was traded for R.J. Barrett quickly and a second-round pick.
Yeah.
So I think you're hoping for something that's
something in the middle?
In the middle of that. You want a first-round pick from L.A. They got, R.J. Barrett, whatever.
Does one first-round Rui, Gabe Vincent, does that do it for you? And maybe some second garbage that they might have?
There might not be a better offer out there. That's the hard part with this.
Yeah. I think the fascinating thing here is he could very well be on his way to L.A. today. That could get announced at any second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so much I'd have to really gauge my feelings. I have to see the deal to get a real feel of how I feel on this. Because, again, Blazer Twitter, I see it from time to time on our show page because we follow a lot of Blazer fans. The value that they think Jerami Grant is versus what is Jerami Grant's actual market value. And maybe we could try to get Bobby. I don't know if Bobby Marks is available this week. We should try to really get him on before we're off for the 4th. Because I struggle with some of this stuff sometimes. Everybody here locally thinks all of our good players are worth so much.
Yes, we do.
Like Anthony Simons. I think Anthony Simons' value, I'm more fascinated of how much are you getting for him than I am Jerami. Jerami's the 30-year-old on a controlled contract now who's for a team that's ready to win, that he's a 3rd or 4th piece on. Like, we know what Jerami Grant is.
He might be the missing ingredient for somebody.
Maybe, yes. I struggle to think about that value. Ant, well, we all thought Ant had a ton of value. And so far, what have we seen in the market? I mean, he hasn't been traded for yet.
A couple of guys on Orlando that don't do a lot for you, and maybe a couple of first-round picks, and that's about it.
If I told you Cole Anthony and Anthony Black and
two
two
firsts.
firsts from Orlando for Ant. Is that moving much for you? Because I don't think I care about those picks. Orlando's going to be good. They're at least trying to be good.
Yeah.
Anthony Black, Cole Anthony is a backup point guard.
You're not getting more than 3 picks, though, for Ant, right? Like, that's just not going to happen. So I think the best case scenario is probably 2 firsts, maybe one of those being, a shot at maybe like a unprotected pick. And then
I try and shoot the moon maybe for like a 2031 pick. Try and buy out some time a little bit because, to your point,
you'd want to go down the road a little bit.
Short-term first-round picks are not great. And this is where the whole thing about the Avdia trade that I see your larger point about who cares about a 2029 first-round pick. But I think the dream scenario here of building out of this is that you find your guy, whether it be Klingon, whether it's Sharp, whether it's Scooter, whether it's whoever you get in the 2025 draft, and you say, okay, now we feel like we have our nucleus of who we're building around, and now it's 2027 all of a sudden, and we're starting to come out of this a little bit, and here we have 3 picks in 29, and 4 picks in 30, and 4 picks in 31, like a little aggressive there, but that's kind of where Oklahoma City's at. You want to follow that vision. We just don't have our Shai Gilgeous yet. That's who we need to find.
I would actually argue, too, Oklahoma City is as nice as it seems, and we all compliment them on them. It's a little bit of a hell to be in. What are you doing with all those picks? Your roster's kind of forming. And it's not that you can't use them in a year or two if this doesn't work next. Like Kim Barkley thinks they win the title next year. I don't know if I'm there, but if they come up short and they obviously need to make moves, they strike me more as Boston, where this is going to get tinkered with and tweaked until they can find that winning recipe. But they have so many picks that it's almost a little overwhelming of like you saw them this year in the draft. What did they do? They basically told you we don't care. They took Topic with their first-round pick, who's not going to play this year because of an ACL.
Take an absolute flyer on a guy.
And I think they got out of their second pick for like 5 seconds or whatever it was. Like, they had no interest in drafting because they don't need any players.
And also this year's draft sucked.
Right. So it's like, that's why I wasn't as bent on that 2029 being shipped out for what seems to be a good role guy. You had 3 firsts in this 2029 draft, and it was the middle of the 3. So you still get the best one, and you'll still have another one. I just find all of this fascinating. What Jerami goes for, what we get back from it, if it is indeed the Lakers. And then, like, if Jerami goes, is Ant next? It would strike me as something that I would think, want.
It
because,
would make
like,
sense.
dude, we're going to suck. You just said in your postseason end-of-year press conference that you want to win. We're not winning. So I'm more interested in what the value is for him being a young player on a pretty good contract versus Jerami Grant being what he is at his age at this stage. I'm kind of fascinated by all of it. Are we in on which one of these are we in on for next year in case we don't capture the flag? Delirious for Arius or Ace the Tank? Because Ace Bailey's real name is Arius, I found out this weekend.
Wait, what? Really?
It's Arius. Ace is his nickname, Bailey. Arius
Ace.
Bailey. So are we delirious for Arius? Or are we Ace the Tank?
I'm Ace the Tank.
You're
That's
Ace
my
the
vote.
Tank?
Yeah, Ace, baby.
Okay.
Like Texas Hold'em. Get
I think
those aces.
I think I'm with you on that. I go Ace the Tank.
I kind of like the rhyming. I like delirious for Arius.
Delirious for Arius.
Because he's a 6'9" wing.
He's
and,
6'9" wing. He is supposed to be the real deal. Where's he going to school next year?
Rutgers?
Rutgers, huh?
Rutgers has Dylan Harper and him, I believe.
Okay.
Who Dylan Harper's another. He's
That
a
guy
6'5"
who's in the
point
mix.
guard.
Where the hell did Rutgers come into all that money? Where's that happening from?
Yeah, maybe the East Coast kids.
Is he making a trip to Eugene, Oregon next year? Is that what you're telling me? Is he going deep in the woods
Big
next
Ten,
year?
that's right.
Ah, come on, baby.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, either one I'm fine with. You need to lose a lot of games so you have a crack at one of those two guys next year.